Welcome to the Recon Trader. In today's video, I thought I would share with you a new TradingView indicator that I have been developing to help me identify fear and greed levels when trading cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. So, with that being said, let's get right into the weeds. And we will start over here in my TradingView account where you can see the Recon Trader Fear and Greed Zones indicator that I developed. And this little lock here indicates that it is a private indicator and is only available to my YouTube channel members via a link which is included in the members only video description. And so if you want access to my private indicators, you would need to jump over here to YouTube, the Recon Trader page, and then click on join and select which level membership you want. Right now, both levels will get you my indicators currently. So then you would just click join, and then you would have access to the private members only videos, which will have links to these indicators that you could then add to your charts. Now, again, as I mentioned, I developed this indicator to help identify the fear and greed zones when it comes to trading cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, what have you. And the fear and greed zones can be used to identify resistance or reversal opportunities, or in the case of the fear zone down here is where all the selling is taking place. That often indicates an opportunity for buying, and again, a reversal or a trend reversal. And with that being said, you could also use these levels to identify perhaps your take profit targets or your stop loss targets. And we'll dive a little further into the weeds as far as how I use this indicator when we jump over to the charts. So again, real quickly, your greed zones highlight an area where investors are willing to buy an asset, perhaps out of greed, thus providing resistance due to overbought conditions and potentially causing the price to reverse downwards. So again, this upper zone here would be a greed zone where everyone's getting greedy and trying to buy, perhaps because of FOMO. And once that market gets overbought, we often see a reversal. Now, on the flip side, the fear zones highlight an area where investors are willing to sell an asset, again, perhaps out of fear, thus providing support due to oversold conditions and potentially causing a price to reverse upwards, which you can see in this situation on the example chart. You get this big sell-off, more than likely fear. Again, you got to follow the sheeple. The people are sheep. They follow the herd, and they will sell, sell, sell. This is where smart traders or investors are buying, thus building up a support level, and you eventually get that reversal from this fear zone. And so to quickly recap, I basically created this indicator to identify the zones for possible entries for long or short, possible exit levels for take profit or stop losses, and also to kind of identify possible trend reversals. So I think that's enough jaw jacking. Let's jump over to an actual chart, and I'll show you how I am currently using these zones. And so we'll jump over here to the Ethereum perpetual contracts. It's the 5-minute candles, and I'm on the Bybit exchange. And you can see exactly how these zones act as support or perhaps resistance. Thus, you may be able to use them to enter shorts or longs. However, I never use one indicator to determine entries, exits, trading strategies. I am typically looking for 3 types of indications that a trade may move in my direction. One is trend, the other one is momentum, and then I'm also looking for volatility. And so in addition to the fear and greed zones, I will add my Recon volume weighted bars and bands to the chart And now with that indicator added to the chart in combination with the fear and greed indicator, I have a better idea of trend direction and momentum. Perhaps with the green bars would indicate bullish momentum, the red bars would indicate bearish momentum. And keep in mind, some of these red bars are actually green bars if we remove my indicator, and some of these green bars over here on the left hand side of the chart would be red bars. And you can tell they're red bars because of the red wicks and outlines, and vice versa on this side. The green wicks would indicate that was actually a green bar, not a red bar. But I'm looking for momentum out of this indicator in addition to trend. And so all these red bars would indicate bearish, and all these green bars would indicate bullish momentum. And so with that being said, you can take a look all the way back here to the left-hand corner. You get a buy signal as the price has dipped down into the fear zone. And what I'm typically looking for is a push away from the fear zone. And so you get this buy signal. For me, in addition to the buy signal, the price has to be above VWAP, and in this case VWAP is way back down here, and so the price is above VWAP. This would be a valid trade in my opinion because the price is starting to move out of the fear zone. You can see it pushing up from the bottom of the fear zone towards the top of the fear zone. So then I would determine my stop loss or take profit. And to determine that stop loss, I could come perhaps here to the middle of the fear zone, which is highlighted by this dark green line. And that would be an area that I would look for support. And you can see it actually did provide support right in here. Or I could come down here to the bottom of the fear zone where you see this wick comes down into, and that would be at 0.48%. Now I use 10x leverage, so if I round that up to 0.5, that would be 5% profit. And so on the flip side, where I would be looking for to take profit would be around 0.5%. And you can see we're never actually in trouble of getting stopped out because, again, this midline kind of acts as support. And then we hit our profit on this wick into the neutral. This yellow line is considered the neutral line for the fear and greed indicator. And so this yellow line I've incorporated into my fear and greed indicator as kind of a neutral area, which can act as resistance or support. And in this case, we do hit our profit target on the wick into the neutral line, but you can see it does kind of act as a little bit of resistance back here and back in here. So again, another possibility for a take profit target could be your neutral line if you're trading from out of the fear zone, or you're trading out of the greed zone. You might use your neutral line as a profit target as well, because again, you can see it acts as support until obviously it doesn't, but then the price gets right back above it shortly after breaking through, which would have been my next trade actually. And even though we get the pull away from the greed zone and we get a sell signal here, as the signal appears on a candle that is above VWAP, and VWAP is green, which would be bullish, and thus I wouldn't want to get short. Now, on the flip side, we get a buy signal here, and the price is above VWAP. You could take this trade if you're feeling bullish. However, for me, I prefer not to take bullish trades when the price is above the neutral line or it's pushing up into this greed level. Another good way to avoid perhaps a trade that would end up reversing on you is when the price just came out of this greed level or is trying to push back up into it. You wouldn't have a whole lot of room for profit because, again, keep in mind this level will act as resistance, as we see it does here and over here. And then you have this other sell signal. Again, VWAP is green, so that is not a valid sell signal as far as I'm concerned. So the next valid trade for me would actually have been this buy signal here. And on this buy signal, we see a push up away from the neutral and across a VWAP after a pretty decent little sell-off. And so for me, the fact that it moved up and above the neutral, that is bullish. And so I would have set my stop loss fairly tight on this because, again, we are getting close to this greed level. And so I would have more than likely come back down towards the bottom of this lowest wick, which would put us at 0.4. And again, I use 10x leverage, so that'd be 4% profit. And if you really just wanted to scalp this trade, you could have put your stop loss maybe just below the neutral line, which would have been maybe at 0.25, which could have been 2.5% profit. But for me, I would have probably gone back into this area here, which, if we check our 6, is around the level that price action found support back in here before moving back up. So for me, if I went for that 0.4% profit, end up getting it on this candle here as we approach the greed zone. And so again, when I'm setting my take profit, I could have just measured up here to the greed zone, saw that at 0.49%. Maybe I go for 0.5%, which the price does end up eventually reaching back into this greed zone and then sells off. So that is one way you could use this greed zone as your profit target. Same thing back here on this buy signal. Instead of going down to the bottom of the zone here at that 0.5%, you could come up into here and get a much bigger trade of 1.2%, which would be like 12%. However, I must warn you, this neutral zone line, this yellow line you see running through here, can act as resistance. And so you would want to proceed with caution, maybe use a trailing stop or something like that, and let the price run. And then the last signal that pops up, which is a really good signal, it's a sell signal moving out of this green zone. I mean, that to me is a pretty strong signal. However, my rules dictate the price must be down below VWAP, and we don't get that until this candle here, which is right at the neutral line. So more than likely, based on my rules, I probably wouldn't take this trade, and you can see it does play out to be a pretty good trade. And if I broke my rules,
it's more what you call guidelines than actual rules.
I could have done something like this as my stop loss, which would be 0.49, we call it 0.5 or 5% profit. And you can see we clearly do end up hitting that on the way down, or I could have even set my take profit back down into the fear zone down here at around 0.9%. And then this last signal over here, this buy signal, again, I would not take this trade because first of all, the price is below VWAP and it's running right into that neutral level. However, you can see the price does eventually push up and away from the fear zone down here, and so that may have been a profitable trade for you if you did something like, again, 0.47, call it 0.5%. You don't quite get the profit on this wick, so you'd still be waiting. However, you've never been in trouble of getting stopped out yet. And so once the price does break up here, maybe you move your stop loss to break even, or even up here to the neutral line, which would be not a bad strategy. You'll basically cover your fees and make a small profit if you moved your profit to the neutral line after the price reached up into here. It's one way, again, to use this indicator when day trading. The neutral line can be used for moving stop losses up and locking in profit or avoiding a bigger loss. And so with that all being said, there are some settings you can adjust depending on the time frame. You can adjust the threshold, which will adjust the size of your zones up here from 9%. You can adjust it down. All that will do is make the zone smaller. If you go to say 4%, you can see the zones got smaller or I can raise that back up. I think the default is 9, and then the resolution is basically how far back it will look, and in this case I have it set to 49. If we go to 99, you saw a slight adjustment there, and so the default's 49 for my trading. Now we are looking at the 5-minute chart. This can be a little bit choppy and get some of these false, in my opinion, signals. So you might want to zoom out to, say, the 15-minute chart, which will give you a different look. Now, I have been trading Bitcoin over here on the 30-minute chart, pretty much testing this strategy out. And it has really been performing well. Like, for instance, this sell signal I believe I took the other day, I think I captured like a 9% profit over here on Bybit on that particular short. And then I think I got a pretty good long signal here where we get the price move away. And in this case, I think I captured like a 7% profit, probably somewhere around this neutral zone over here on Bybit. We closed that one for a 7% winner. So that's enough jaw jacking. I am working on a few other new indicators, so if you don't want to miss out on those videos, you might want to shoot that subscribe button. If you like this video, do me a favor, spike a like. If you have any questions or comments, sound off in the comment section down below. And until next time, remember, never send your money into battle without first doing your recon. See you in the next video.